What's up, everybody? Z3KO Trinity here. I'm just chilling in my car at the doctor's, waiting on my mom to get done with her appointment. And I thought I would talk to you guys a little bit about a man named Stephen King, Stephen King. The reason why I love Stephen King so much is because back when I was younger, I was into scary stuff. I used to watch Goosebumps when I was about 5. I was watching Child's Play when I was 2 years old. I've just always had this kind of attraction to scary movies and scary stuff like that. And back in school, we used to have to pick out a book and read a book and do a book report on it, where we stand in front of class and discuss about the book and basically a review, basically. But when I went into middle school, I think it was middle school. Yeah, it was about middle school, about 6th or 7th grade. We had to pick an actual book. We couldn't pick a really thin one like that. And so me and Mom and Jeremy went to the library, and of course I was always going for, if I had to read a book, it might as well be a scary one, because that's the only thing that really caught my attention. And I've always been told that Stephen King was the scariest horror writer that existed, basically. I know I say basically a lot, I don't know why. But anyway, Stephen King, at that time, I was told was the scariest, because I had asked the librarian if she had a really scary book, and she immediately drew me to the Stephen King section. And well, the very first book I ever got was Everything's Eventual. That was the first thing I picked up, which was because it was short stories, and I'm like, okay, I could read short stories. Because at that time, me and reading really didn't get along, and I didn't want to read at all. But we took it home, and Mom read us a couple of the stories from it. She read us, I think, 1408, and she read us The Man in Black, or The Man with the Black Suit, or something. I can't remember the exact title of that one. But I just thought that his stories were so creepy and so terrifying that I just immediately fell in love. So it was back in 2007. I rented... It weren't until 2007 when I actually wanted to hardcore get into reading. Most of the time I was into watching shows, watching TV, just kind of doing other stuff. But it weren't until 2007 when I went to the library one day. We've been to the library several times before, I just never had an interest in reading. But we went there, and my mom, she was going through all the Harlequin romance books, trying to see which ones she could trade out and stuff like that. So I'm just sitting there, and I go to the Stephen King section, and I randomly picked up The Dead Zone. At this point, I had no idea what any Stephen King, any books, I didn't know what It was, I didn't know what Misery was, so I just kind of grabbed one, The Dead Zone, and I was like, okay, I'm going to read this one. I rented it from the library, and I read that book, and it was one of the, I would say it weren't the best book ever, but it is one of Stephen King's really good books. And from there, I was like, okay, I really like this one. I'm going to rent another one. And I rented, I believe the next one was Cujo, but don't get me wrong. I'd have to look on my actual note card, but because I wrote down the date and everything of when I first read Stephen King books. I've got them all wrote down. And you guys know I have note cards that I write on them and stuff like that. So anyway, I rented Cujo, and after I read Cujo, I realized that Stephen King was one of the best writers ever. Cujo was absolutely amazing, and it just started from there. Every time I would finish it, I would go back to the library and rent another one. I'd rent The Shining, and then I started looking up his movies, and for my birthdays, I would use the money for birthday to get some of the movies, and I would watch them. and just I fell in love with them. And of course, you know, my top two favorites, Misery and It. I've watched Misery a bunch of times, the movie, and I've seen It over 100 and some times. I even kept count in my notebook for a while. I think I stopped at like 118 or something like that. But yeah, I just absolutely loved the movies. And for Christmas, I believe it was 2009 or 2008, one of those two, I asked my aunt if she could get me a couple Stephen King books for Christmas. And she got me The Cell, which was the very first book I ever opened up. And the next one was the entire Gunslinger trilogy. I fell in love with them, which I've never read all of it's funny, to this very day, I've never read either one of those. The Cell was the very first book I ever got of Stephen King's, and I've yet to read that book. But I've done over 4 or 5 different book reports on Stephen King throughout school, and I really love his writing style. I really love how he puts so much detail in his characters and his plots. I mean, he works really hard on his books. He goes out of his way. He goes to hospitals, talks to like the hospital people for information for his books. If he's writing about like the police or something, he goes to like the police station and asks questions. I mean, this guy goes out of his way to write a good book. And I think that's what a great author does, you know? I would love to be like Stephen King. And I could if I wanted to. I just need to actually sit down and put pen to paper. You know what I mean? But anyway, this is just a random vlog. I was just sitting out in the car, and I was sitting here thinking about this channel, thinking about how it all started with my Stephen King collection, and how you guys really love Stephen King stuff. And don't get me wrong, Stephen King is the master of horror. He's got 2 more books getting ready to come out this year, which I'm going to have to say what they are in the next video because I can't remember right now. But anyway, I'm looking forward to those. But thank you guys. Let me know in the comment section below why you love Stephen King. And I'm going to be doing some more Stephen King videos for you guys to come. I'm going to actually set up a schedule for like a weekly schedule, what I do every day, and I'm going to try my absolute best to follow that schedule for you guys. So a channel update will be coming soon. Thank you guys so much for watching my channel. Thank you for all the subscribers and all that stuff. So I just hope I keep you entertained. I hope you guys still love the channel, and remember to love Stephen King. Go out there, if you have not read a Stephen King book, go out there and pick up a Stephen King book. It does not matter which ones. I can sit here and tell you, yeah, read It, yeah, read Misery, but your very first experience with Stephen King is special, and Everything's Eventual was mine. And 1408 was the first story that my mom read to us, and that stuck to me, you know? So that's really special. So out of all the stories, you know, if someone says, hey, what kind of book do I read for Stephen King? Oh, you should read 1408. You know, that's not what usual people would suggest. But it's special to me. And, of course, like I said, Dead Zone was the very first full book I ever read. So, but yeah, Stephen King, you are the man, the myth, and the legend. I thank you so much for all the hard work that you've done of writing your books. I love every single one of them, even the ones that aren't really the best. I still love them, and I hope I make you proud, Stephen King. I hope that you watch this channel and you keep sending them booty pics to me. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Z3KO Trinity. Deuces.